Bear Down with Brian Jeffries is brought to you this week by Hughes Federal Credit Union.
Our guest this week is Terrell Brown Jr., 6'1" guard out of Garfield High in Seattle, Washington. He's transferred in from Seattle U. This will be his one and only season with the Wildcats, but I know one that everyone's excited to see him play. And Terrell, thanks for joining us, and tell us about your arrival here in Tucson and what you've enjoyed so far about being a Wildcat.
Thank you for having me on the show today. I think my first time coming down here was, I never took an official visit or anything. So like right when I got off the plane, it was straight, 90 degrees at nighttime, which was different from, being back home in Seattle. But when I got here, Coach Murphy picked me up and I met Ben, which is one of my teammates also. And then since then we connected, and once I got to meet all the guys, once we had to get through the, COVID testing and stuff and, interact with the guys more, it's really been really good for me. I've been enjoying it a lot. Just, competing, shooting drills and all that, weights. So I think it's a good experience for me, talking to Coach Miller, talking to the whole coaching staff, rounds, it's been really good to just, see like that, I guess the next step up of workouts, like how much is more like demanding compared to where I was at before.
All right. Yeah, I mentioned you went to Garfield High School in Seattle, which is one of the outstanding high schools, not only academically, but it's produced some tremendous basketball players over the years. What's it like playing for a historic program like that?
I think playing for the program is really big, just the history, there's dudes that came before me 20 years ago, 30 years ago or whatnot. And just like the music culture there, what Jimi Hendrix was there, went to school there and stuff like that. So it was really cool. But I would say meeting Brennan Roy, and, I know Brennan Roy personally, closely, and talking to him about that, his legacy there, Will Conroy, it was just a big tradition of school, the basketball, so it's really cool to attend that school because I always wanted to go there since I was a kid.
Now you dropped Jimi Hendrix's name, and I was just wondering, now he's a little before your time. Sure. Along with being a former Garfield student, were you a Hendrix music fan?
Nah, but on the music hallway wall we have at Garfield, he's on the wall. So you kind of look at the wall sometimes and then, you catch his eye and see who's this dude? And then you kind of do your research, I guess, or whatnot. So, yeah.
All right. Terrell Brown Jr. was a first-team all-WAC player at Seattle U last year, in his 2 years there, averaged over 17 points, over 6 rebounds, tremendous assist player. You can play, obviously, a combo guard position. Do you like the fact that you can go back and forth?
Yeah, I like the fact I can go back and forth. I think today, in the day and age of basketball, there's really no specific point guard, shooting guard, small forward anymore. So the ability to play off the ball, on the ball, run around screens, that's the benefit for me. I kind of had to do that last year at CLU. I didn't have the ball a lot in my hands. I played with another good guard, Morgan Means, and on this team, there's a lot of good guards with Kerr, James Akinjo, Jamal Baker, Dalen Terry, Ben. There's a lot of good players, so I think it'd be easier for all of us to have that weight relief off of our shoulders. So it's kind of nice to have playing with good people.
Yeah, you mentioned that's something that's developed here, I think, and I don't know how recently, where you really you don't want to be pegged as a point guard or as a two guard or etc. Is that something that you've seen kind of develop now from the NBA or just from your own experience where you really need to be able to play different positions?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot from the NBA. For example, the Toronto Raptors play two guards that's only 6 foot, Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. They aren't really, tall guards. They're both, can both run the point guard. I think traditionally they will be point guards, but I don't think everybody for example, Russell Westbrook and James Harden are also considered point guards because they bring the ball up. But then you can also have 3 guards like LeBron and Pascal Siakam who can also run teams. So I don't think there's a limit of just the old traditional 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just pretty much who can play, flat out play.
All right. Well, I think for those that don't know, you're the godson of Jason Terry, one of the all-time greats, one of the all-time favorites here at the University of Arizona. So your relationship, family-wise, goes back a long, long time. When did you first kind of realize who Jason Terry was as a basketball player?
I would say I kind of had an old picture on my phone from like, I had to be at least 4 or 5, like, and we was just together. But I remember who he was when I was about 10 years old, I think. And I went to Dallas, and I stayed with him for a week, you know, and I was around like Josh Howard, Jerry Stackhouse, and all them guys. And they actually played, and I don't remember who they played, but Avery Johnson was the coach that time. And yeah, that has to be early. But they played a game. That's when I met Avery Johnson's son, and we had was like the ball boys during the game and stuff like that. And you kind of see like the atmosphere of like what an NBA locker room is. You know, I remember one trip that NBA now, like, they love golfing. So I'll never forget, like, we went golfing with like Josh Howard and all them guys and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool to see, like, okay, this dude is like someone special, you know.
So your dad played with Jason.
Mhm.
What did your dad tell you about JT?
I mean, JT's a great dude, great person. I mean, I didn't know this till I got down here that my dad used to pick him up like every day to go to school. So they was really close, like almost like best friends type of thing. So it was kind of cool to have that, like, the relationship between my parents, or my dad and Jason. And then like knowing that now, like my dad used to always pick him up, take him to school and stuff. So it's super duper cool to have that, like, just knowing that in the back of my mind, you know.
Is it amazing? Like, sometimes life, turns full circle, and here you are playing your last year of college basketball, and one of your coaches is Jason Terry.
Yeah, I didn't even like think of the idea of like him being my coach. Like, cause I knew he was into coaching, but I knew he was good enough. I felt like coach and like guy to be like straight like an NBA coach or a head coach his own self. But for him to come back to Arizona, like where he played college basketball at, and then like me come to Arizona is something like I would never thought of. Like it was never like picked, like made that way.
Okay, so you mentioned it was kind of warm at night here when you first arrived. What are some of the favorite things you found here in Tucson so far?
Man, I think the food places. I find a lot of good food places out here. I think the place that we go eat is like Illegal Pete's is really good. Jimmy's Pita, stuff like that's really good. But I also know that there's Topgolf here, not too far. And I did Topgolf maybe once, and I'm not like a real golf type of person, but I watch golf sometimes. So like I want to get out there and try my best to hit some balls or whatever.
Okay, what's your how far can you drive the ball, or you keep track of it?
I probably won't even put my information out like that on how far I can drive the ball. I'm not that good. So.
All right, I got it. As a transfer in now, what are you doing academically this year?
I'm doing educational leadership classes, so like to become a coach later in my career, hopefully, and maybe even like a teacher or like community service worker or whatever, like a Boys and Girls Club helper. So that's kind of like cool, and it's kind of like super cool to learn like different ways to like kind of like interact with students, because the stuff that we're reading is kind of helpful for that. Like you kind of like know like how to engage with different type of students and how to talk to some students differently than others, and kind of like put yourself in their shoes. So that's what I'm like learning right now. It's really nice.
Outstanding. Hey, Terrell, thanks for joining us. I'll be maybe the last to welcome you to Tucson. We look forward to seeing you on the court here very soon.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
All right. Terrell Brown Jr. He is a 6'1" guard out of Seattle, Washington. We'll see him in a Wildcat uniform here very soon. And thanks for joining us on another edition of Bear Down with Brian Jeffries.